welcome to Code with Eto. And today we are going to look at cell referencing. Yes, so if you have not watched my previous videos, the overview and the basics, please try your best, go and then watch those videos. Because whatever we learn, we are building on those two videos. So please go back and then you learn the basics. So, as part of our basics, we will be learning cell referencing. Now, cell referencing is just referring to cells. Maybe you are in cell A, and then you want to refer to cell B, or you are in this cell, and then you want to refer to this cell. You are in a particular cell, and you want to refer to another cell, or you want to pick information from another cell. That is all cell referencing is about. And we have type of cell referencing, and we will look at them one after the other, how they work. And it's very important to take note of this cell referencing because we will use it a lot in our project. It's a very, very important tool, functionality that you need to pay attention to. So let's start with the relative cell referencing and the behavior. That this is how it behaves. Adjust when copied to other cells. So with relative cell referencing, let's say you have an information in any cell, and then you want that same information in another cell. Wherever you want that information, you activate that cell, press equal to sign, and then you click on where you want the information for. So you are referring to cell A1 in cell C3. When you are done, you press enter, and the content in cell A1 moves to cell C3. Now, what happens when you change this content? So, say you want to change this content, you press enter, it changes in cell C3. So, meaning cell C3 is now depending or referring to cell A1 for information. So, subsequently, anytime you change information in this cell, it changes here. Yes. So this cell is now depending on this. So that is what relative cell reference is talking about. Now, what is absolute cell referencing? So it says what? This is an example of the syntax, the behavior, remain fixed when copied. So let's have this shit. So say you have a data, okay, and then we want to make use of this percentage, this commission, and then we'll calculate the total sales. Yes. So to do this, we need to calculate the commission, we need to multiply the sales plus the commission. The sales by the commission, the sales of each of these names with their commissions, with their sales multiplied by the commission here. So how do we go about it? So when I'm in this cell, this is where I want the sales, the commission on these sales. So I do equal to, I select where the sale is, multiply by this, and then I press enter. So you realize that 20% of 20,000 is this. Mind you, we are on absolute referencing. And the narration is what? It holds both rows and columns. Yes, so previously I said the alphabet are columns and then the numbers are rows. So if you want to hold a particular cell constant, then you put the dollar sign in front of the column and in front of the row. So you are holding it constant. That is what this absolute referencing is about. Yes, so the referencing is just putting a dollar sign in front of the column, and then in front of the row, meaning you are holding the column and then the row constant. You are holding them fixed. Yes. So the reason you will get to understand. So we want to calculate the commission on this. So you press equal to sign, you select this, multiply by this. So that gives us the commission on this. So you want to calculate the commission for Cook and Go, you do the same thing. You select this, you multiply by the commission, it gives us this. But let's assume you have thousands of names. You can't keep doing this one by one. So there's a need for you to use the absolute referencing, which means that at every point in time, Excel should always refer to this. So this is going to be fixed, or this row or this cell is supposed to be fixed. That is when the absolute referencing comes in. So this is how it works. So because I will always be referring to this cell, there's a need to use the absolute referencing. So I go by equal to this. The reason why, okay, so this multiplied by this. Okay, so this multiplied by this. Because I will always be referring to this, I need to hold this fixed. So I press the F4 key once. And you see the dollar sign comes in front of the column and in front of this row, meaning that this particular cell is being held constant. And I press equal to sign. I select that, I use a fill handler. I explained this in our previous videos. This fill handler, I left click and hold and I drag down. When you see this error, it means that the cell is too small for the content. So what you do is just to double click or you hold it and expand so that the rest of the figures can also show. So when you tap on this, you realize that this 20% is still what it's referring to here. Yes. So now let's look at another scenario and see. So without using this, the absolute referencing, when you should do this, you realize that you keep having this. What happens is that it's multiplying the cells here by this value instead of this. So it's always when you come here to, it's when you come here, it's multiplying this by the previous value. So which is not what we wanted. We wanted it to multiply by this 20% here. Do you get it? So if you don't use the absolute referencing, you wouldn't get what you want. So if you are going to refer to a particular cell, you have to use the absolute referencing. So should I do this by 20 and I press F4 and I press enter, I use my fill handler to drag down. So you see the difference. See, it's always referring to the 20% here. So that's how we use the absolute referencing. There are so many scenarios that we are going to use it when going forward. So it's very important to pay attention to this. So now, subsequently, you want to now add the commission to the cells. So with this, you can use this plus this. So there's a plus sign plus this. The sales cell, the column C plus the column D will give us the total. And then you will use the fill handler. With this, you don't need any referencing again. You don't need to use any of the referencing. So that is it with the absolute referencing. So let's go to the next one. That's a mixed referencing, mixed cell referencing. So with the mixed cell, it talks about, mind you, I said when you put the referencing is all about holding a column or a row constant. So depending on the scenario. So with a mixed, we have one which is called lock row and then lock column. The lock row means what you are going to put a dollar sign in front of the row. And you know the numbers are the row. So when the dollar sign comes in front of the row, it means that you are locking that row. So the column changes, but the row remains fixed. So when you put a dollar sign in front of the row, it means that that particular row is going to be constant, remain fixed. So now let's see an example. So say you have two products. product A and product B. And then you need to calculate the tax, the price with the tax of each of the products. Okay. In this case, the taxes are different. Okay, you have the taxes which are different from product A and product B. So what we can do is that we can use the lock, the second, how do you call it, the lock rule concept, which is the price here multiplied by this will give us 10%, 10, let's say 10 cities. So let me put the city sign so that it will be more understanding. Currency. Yes, so to be 10 city, that is the price. When you multiply the tax, this is the tax component of this for product A. Now, when you copy this to here, maybe you can still use a fill handler. When you use a fill handler here, it will work all right, but there will be an issue. What it's doing is that it is multiplying it has now changed itself because you have not hold this constant. It is now using this as the price, but we always want to refer this as the price, and then also want to hold this particular row constant because we will always be referring to this row. So the row will change whilst the columns will change whilst the rows remain instant. So this is what we'll do. Because we have already learned absolute referencing, we apply it here. So I'm like, okay, fine. This price is going to remain fixed. So let's have it remaining constant. And then multiply it by this row. But because we will be we want the row to remain fixed, we'll apply the $sign twice by pressing the F key 2 times. You can also type it yourself, but when you press the F key, it does everything for you. So what this means is that we are always going to refer to this. This A4, cell A4 is going to remain constant, but the row will change. The row will remain constant, but the columns will be changing because this 15 will remain will now remain in cells column C, but row 2, and then this will also be what cell B2. So now, let's see the magic. So what is it doing? It's still now multiplying this by this to give us the value here. So by just writing one formula, you just need to use the fill handler and then you drag straight. Yes, so you realize that it is making use of this particular function or this particular reference, holding the row constant and making use of the absolute referencing. So that is it with the locking of a row. You can lock a row just by placing the $sign in front of the row. You are locking the whole row. And then also, we have this one also. Just to say, holding the column constant. Holding the column constant with the $sign. So we want to hold the column constant here. So because the column will be constant because we have more than, formally we have only one row here. So that is why we use, we hold this particular row constant. But in this scenario, we are having more than one prices for this item in different rows. So there will be a need for us to hold the column constant whilst the rows in the various, the prices in the various columns, the prices in the various rows will change. So the column will still be A, but the row will be 4, 5, and 6 because the prices are not in the same row. They are in different rows. So there will be a need for us to hold this row constant whilst this column constant whilst the row remain changing. So whilst this column will remain constant, we'll have different figures for the rows. So there will be a need for us to hold the column constant whilst the row changes. So this is how we do this. With this, we don't use the. So let's start with product A. So we have this. Because we have different prices here, we need to hold this column constant. So we do that by pressing the F4 3 times. So it puts the dollar sign in front of it. It means that we are holding this particular column constant fixed. And then we multiply it by this rate. And because we want the rates are in one row, we have to hold this row also constant. So we have already learned that in our previous scenario. So this is how it is done. So we hold the column, this column constant, and we hold this row also constant. And then we press enter. So you see, still remains the same. And then now, I select the 2. I use a fill handler and I drag down. And it works like magic. So that is how the referencing work for this one. This is the same thing. So you might have a lot of data that you need to use this particular concept on. So now we are moving to another interesting one, that is 3D referencing. Reference the same cell across multiple. Yes. So let's say you have. Let's assume we have calculated the total for this. Okay. The total for this, we can use a very simple sum. Is this, and then we want this value in different sheets. That is when we use the 3D referencing. So this is how it works. So if you're in the sheet that you want that figure, okay, wherever you want it, let's say you want it here, in this particular sheet, what you do is that you press equal to sign, you go back to the sheet where the figure is, you select it. Now when you finish selecting, you don't go back. All you do is to press enter and it brings the figure here for you. So if in future any of these figures will change, let's say the commission is now 10%. So we have 363. The same will affect this. So this is now depending on this. So it works just like the relative cell referencing, but with this it's between different sheets. Yes, so that is how it works. So let's say you are in this sheet, and then you want this total. You select it and then you press enter, and it comes here for you. So now let's do the last one, which is a name range. So we learn how to name ranges. So with this, it's talking about using a custom name instead of the cell address. The cell address is the cell names. So what we'll do is that we will select this total, okay, and then we name it totals. And one thing about the naming is that when you have so many names and you have even forgotten where you have name, you can press F5. It gives you the name. And you tap on it, and then it send it to wherever you want to go. So let's say I want this to I want to use this. I want a total for this particular sales here. I can just do equal to sum, and then you type in the name you have given, the total. You see it as shown. Press the tab key to select it. And then you close the bracket, and then you press enter. So it does everything for you. It brings you the total. So that is it. So you name the range, naming of range as we did, and then you use the name to do the calculation. There are so many ways around it. You can also use this method. You go back to where you want, and then you select it. You press enter, it does the same thing for you. But it still refers to it as total. So always use name, select the range, and you name it, and then that is it. So that is it with the referencing, as simple as that. So let's wrap it up by creating a multiplication timetable using the referencing, the mixed referencing. Yes, so this is what we'll be doing. We'll be doing this very soon, multiplication timetable using the for a better understanding. Yes, for a better understanding. Yes. So this is how it to be. So let me clean everything. So I'm here. So equal to. So B, because we will be referring to, we want to multiply this column by this row. It means that we have to hold this row constant. We have to hold the row constant. How do we hold the row constant? By placing the dollar sign in front of the row. So we place the row because we'll be using that row. We press the dollar sign 2 times, and then you put the dollar sign in front of the row. And we are going to multiply that row, this row, by this column. So this is a column 2. So by the column, so we have to hold the column also constant because the rows will be changing. So we put the dollar sign in front of the column by pressing the F4 key 3 times. When you are done, you press enter. You select it, you use the fill handler first. Let's drag it down, and then we drag it by the side. That is how simple it is to do a multiplication timetable using the referencing. So I believe you can do this. So take your time, go through it, understand the concept very well. If you understand this referencing, you can use it in any of the projects you want to. Yes. Thank you so much.